Well, I guess the clue's in the name, Videology. Tell us what Videology does, what part it plays in the video and ad ecosystem, and we'll move from there.
Sure. So Videology is a media technology and services company, and we've built a platform that allows advertisers through agencies to plan, buy, manage, and report against campaigns across various platforms, formats, and devices.
So why do you think that it was necessary to create Videology? What happened in the world to make Videology a need in the industry?
So we launched Videology in early 2007, and what we saw in the marketplace at the time was the convergence, and I know that's an overused word in the media marketplace, but we truly saw convergence was happening between TV and online in particular. Been talking about it for probably a decade beforehand, but it was truly starting to take shape. And people talk about the fact of the technology revolution, and we've certainly had that revolution in both hardware, software, the deployment of technologies that allow for the better transmission of information, and that all led to great, powerful, cool technology devices. But that is only part of the problem, right?
Right, because I think that despite the name, Videology, you're not just in the video business, right?
That's right, that's right. But what kind of led us down the path at first was the consumer-led revolution. Mm-hmm. You know, the consumer was using these new technologies in a way that no one could really have, fully expected. They were starting to consume media at scale on these different devices in different ways. So we started in video because we thought marketers were going to need tools to be able to handle this new paradigm to deliver their campaigns. We thought we would have some time to kind of build our platform and take our time into other devices and formats, but what we found was this consumer-led revolution has moved faster than we all expected, into mobile, into connected TV, and so what we've done is built capabilities in other devices and formats to allow us to deliver marketing campaigns at scale on these different platforms.
So let's just talk about the different platforms and the reaction you're getting from advertisers and agencies to the difference between online video and pre-roll and running in stream and running on mobile devices. Do you think that the thoughts are gathering as to what the differences between those are and what the different roles they play in the communication mix? Are you getting a kind of gathering of consensus in this area or not?
I'm not sure we have consensus, but I think people are starting to get their arms around how they should use delivery into these different mechanisms, these different devices to achieve their objectives. And so, we're really focused, for example, take the TV market. We're really focused on working with brand marketers that traditionally spent on TV, and how should they think about these new medium? How should they think about online video? How should they think about mobile video? And we really talk to them, along three general themes as it relates to TV, for example, which is, one, by using online video, you can reach consumers that you otherwise can't reach. There's a certain segment of the population that just isn't watching TV like they used to. You can use online video to reach those consumers. Second, you can use online video to bring efficiencies to your buy. It's sight, sound, and motion messaging. It's the effective advertising that you're used to for your brand marketing. You can find efficiencies in pricing and performance in online video.
So out of curiosity, are you finding a significant number of brands using Videology platforms and online video generally that simply weren't television advertisers before, and that the online world has opened up video as an advertising channel to brands that simply didn't have access to it before?
Absolutely. There's really two shifts that are taking place at the same time in online video. One is traditional digital spenders that are now moving. They may have been started in display and focused and started moving into some rich media, but are now seeing the benefit of online video, in-stream video. And then the other is from TV. And then the other aspect of TV that I was touching on before is the fact that you can start to, because data is starting to be available in a form that you can move it cross-platform, you can start to talk to a TV advertiser about the fact that we can take your audiences on TV. We work with Nielsen on their TV amplifier product, And we can find those audiences online and amplify that message that you've delivered on TV.
So that's a very neat segue about I'll take your audiences that you found on TV and find them online into the context versus content debate. This has been around for quite some time, and it's been seen as a terrific opportunity by some people, the broad area of audience buying, the separation of the audience from the content that it appears in, and it's a big controversy, particularly for premium publishers who still want to think of their own inventory as premium. Where does Videology stand on this, and how do you think about the content versus context debate when you're talking to your customers?
So we really, in starting Videology and seeing the power of available data, we started primarily with the idea of an audience-based platform. And where the power of data there is that you can decouple the audience from the content. So whereas historically you've used content and context as a proxy to find your audience, by using data you can now decouple that and find your audiences in other areas. What we found, especially early on working with big brand marketers and TV spenders, is that context and content does matter, right? You can't get away from that. Brands do not want to be associated with brands that they're not comfortable with, first and foremost. And second, in terms of context, advertisers may have views on how they should locate consumers in terms of what kind of activity they're engaged in when they want to find them.
So let me just probe a little further on that, and maybe it's not something you can give an answer to. You said that context was important because brands like to see themselves associated with certain kinds of content and even certain kinds of other advertisers. Do you think it matters to the consumer, and is there any evidence that you've seen in the data in terms of people's response or view through that there really is a connection between context and performance?
I guess there's two answers to that. We have seen in a number of research studies that we've done that high quality content does matter. The environment with which one receives a message does matter. Now there could be different reasons for that. It could be the nature of the experience. What is the size of the player? What was the environment with which that person was watching? Were they expecting to receive a message at the time? Were they seeking out content, for example? All those kind of things, kind of roll together. But we definitely see that content and context matter. We really focus on the fact that quality does matter. It drives performance for brands, and it leads to better results.
Okay. So I'd like one last thing before we go. Videology has been a leader in the whole real-time buying space, and RTB has taken a huge number of column inches, or whatever the digital equivalent of a column inch is these days. Where do you see the role of RTB versus reserve buying, and where do you see the future going in terms of, not in exact percentages, but the growth of RTB as a total portion of the marketplace?
So I think it's how you frame the question. So for us, real-time bidded buying is just a modality. It's a buying modality. It's a way to procure inventory. It's a very efficient way. We love our real-time bidded opportunities, but it's not the only way that you can access inventory. So we really look at a more holistic approach of looking across the ecosystem and working both a reserve basis and an RTB basis to achieve advertiser objectives. And we've really started from a brand marketer's perspective. And when we talk to a brand marketer, flighting matters. Guaranteed delivery of their campaigns matters. You can't tell a big brand marketer who's expecting to receive a certain number of TRPs during a week, I'm sorry, you didn't clear the auction, you're not going to get those this week. So it's really taking a holistic view of inventory across the ecosystem and bringing that in to provide that guaranteed delivery for brand advertisers. If we talk percentages, I think generally you see the numbers that you're talking 30% RTB, 70% reserved is kind of the numbers we'll move to over the next couple of years in online video. And I think that number is about right.
And do you see that percentage more a function of the way advertisers need to control the cadence of delivery, or do you see it more as a function of the supply side on RTB being constrained over time?
I think both. I think they're actually equal parts of the answer. You know, one on the buy side we just talked about, they need to know that they have guaranteed delivery against their campaign. The second part is on the publisher side, there is concern over what has happened in display, that real-time bidding could cause massive drops in CPMs, a lack of control over their inventory. And so we see in video where publishers, especially premium publishers, are really holding back a lot more control over distributing their impressions into exchanges. And so I think finding the ways to make sure that the publisher feels that they're in control of their inventory and can maximize from their perspective the monetization of their assets is an important part of that puzzle.